Hmm. Hello and welcome to Domain Expert. My name is Harry Moreno. Still fiddling with the settings. I thought 1920 by 1080 would be good, but still getting this morning. In any case, let's just dive right into it. So, what are we making? What are we making? Let's see. So just to recap, we are still building out the first version of this, get lit, or rather lit, and the domain, the teaser page is getlit.app. Basically, it's an events app that I've always wanted, so I'm building it. And I've been able to catch up on the backlog. Last week I was struggling and trying to chew through several open PRs, but I chewed through those this week and basically currently working on this feature, which is basically adding chat avatars. I'll probably be doing that this episode. It is midnight. Let's say tentatively I go to 3 a.m. Let's see. So I'm wondering, some of these tickets are assigned on other people, and I'm wondering if there's some other ticket that would be maybe more interesting, more educational to work through first before this one. So fix flash on profile. I think that one's straightforward to fix. Fix up look and feel profile, edit, photo. This one's hard. This one has to be spiked. I'm not too sure. Spike. A spike is an agile term, which means to give it a shot, just to get a sense of how difficult the tasks may or may not be. Like, it's literally stabbing into the dark, into the unknown, and trying to, through that exercise, get a better estimate for the difficulty. This is basically like, we want to be able to let users provide latitude and longitude for their events through a map sort of component, and I really don't know how easy or how hard that might be, so that needs a spike. Move profile events into a tab. Move profile events into a tab. The other tab is activity. Verify profile looks good when reviewing. Or invites. Oh, right. That is saying to... That is saying to make the tabs on the profile. So this stuff here. An activity tab and a your events tab. And some sort of drop shadow. So maybe let's do that one. Honestly, I have to work through all of them, so it doesn't really matter too much. Let's see. Okay. So let's open up the emulator. And if you all have any questions, just drop them in the chat. And I try to look into the chat maybe once an hour. Let's see. So need to run the API. Refresh the app. Doesn't seem to be hitting the app. I think it's because earlier today I was working from a coffee shop and I tend to use ngrok when working places other than my house. Let's go ahead and let's define this as this temporarily, just during the stream. Maybe I need to add HTTPS to no. Well, that'll be something that I'll address during deployment. Having the communications work over SSL. But I have this so far, right? And what would I like to do? So we could, let's glitchy. We could put these behind some sort of tab switching thing. So let's try that. I don't know why it's complaining about. So I switched to branches and some file looks like it's missing. So I'm just restarting the package manager, the React Native package manager there. Okay. Let's see. Move profile events into a tab. Other tabs, activity, verify phone, looks good when reviewing. Profile looks good when reviewing for invites. Okay. I follow. Profile. I've also started sort of splitting my components into presentational and container components. Believe it or not, I have not been the best about doing that. But I am starting to run into complexities in the app where I feel like it would be easier if I had that sort of separation of concerns. Your events. Okay, so I think I don't like the way it looks, and that's because I have an open PR where I make comments work on the events. And the way I made it work was by properly setting up the redux, the store for the app. And that actually solved a lot of the issues. In the same PR, I sort of narrowed, I did a design pass on the events listing, and I am actually pretty happy with how they look. So this has been in review for 24 hours now. I'm going to go ahead and merge. Figure if the other team member hasn't had the time to review it. I'm pretty happy with where it is. So I gave it some time. So I'm okay merging it. Yeah, it really it loses its place when going between those branches. I guess there were like the changes in these between the branches are so large that it just gets out of whack. Okay, much better. So let's see. Where do we start? So just put this listing inside of a component, a stateful component, where you can just sort of click on two things and it'll switch between them, right? I'm wondering if there's not already something that I can reuse, something built that I can reuse. Let's see, avatar. Badge, button group, card, checkbox, divider, header. I think we get a header with React navigation. Icon. Image. Oh. Oh, very nice. That's a drop-in replacement. Let's use that. Another thing I learned this week is that, at least for me, because I use Vim, it would actually be a better idea for me to not use index.js in my components and instead sort of truncate this. So I would rename this to something like profile. Honestly, this would be profile container because I'm making 2 changes these days. This is more like a container component, and I would not rely on the index.js. And then that way, when I have multiple tabs like this, I would basically have profile container.js up here instead of index.js. When I thought about it, they told me some of the pros and cons. I realized that I do actually rely on this, which is semicolon F, to figure out the what file am I on. So I think that would be more productive if I start doing that. So I might do that in this PR as well. We'll see. Let's see. Right, I was going to check out if I would use the drop-in replacement. So I'm already using button. The React Native Elements button is much superior, much better in my opinion. Let's see. That's nice. I don't think we had that sort of transitioning before. And then there's the profile. There is so here this week I started factoring these presentational components out, and I know that event list item would also have an image, and so I would like to try this image out instead. Wow, I think it works, yeah. Nice. Very nice. Well, there you go, folks. It pays to read the documentation. You can find nice surprises. Input. I think we're using this on our forms. List item. I wonder... Okay, I don't think I'll use that. Overlays like a modal. Pricing. Rating. Search bar. Search bar. Search bars are used to search or filter items. Use a search bar when the number of items directly impacts the user's ability to find one of them. Default search bar. I'll send this to Nate. Evaluate. bars. There's another search bar that's from the Expo folks that I want to evaluate. I won't look for that right now. Slider, social icon, text, various sizes. That's interesting. Could be faster. Tile. Tooltip. Okay. We have this React navigation also. So one of the teammates submitted a solution, but he used the material tab navigator. This thing wasn't that great. Didn't look that good. Oh no, what it was is that it's a navigator, and then if we want, and it was nested, right? It was basically being used here, and I think it would complain a lot. You would get warnings saying that you shouldn't nest navigators. There should only be really one navigator, apparently, is my understanding. And so I basically chucked that out. I do want to see if I can get something like that going. So I guess it would be a stateful component. Right, I guess I could build it from scratch. Your events and activity. Let's see what happens if I build it from scratch. So I have this fragment here, and within it I put in your events. What if I did activity? Whoops. What happens if I do that? Oh, so this is gonna be, so we're doing more like styling sort of coding. So I'm going to switch the hot module reloading to on. And that's how you do it in React Native. You have to disable you can only have one or the other, either live reloading or hot module reloading. So in order to enable hot reloading when you have live reloading on, you have to turn off live reload and then turn on hot module reloading. Don't ask me why it's like that. That's just the way it is. And so we've added this activity title here. I want to sort of put that in a row. Okay, good. Let's see. I think, so we've made it a row. I would like to say that for each one of the things inside of the row, they should be centering themselves. So I think the best way to do that is to do section title. Well, where are we using this, right? So we are using it on age. So maybe I need to change this from section title to tab title. Tab title. And let's go ahead and duplicate section title. And that's the starting point. Basically, flex half. Who does that? Font weight bold. It's not bold. It might be that. It might want to do text transform uppercase, but no need to get fancy. All I really want to do is sort of align center of the item. So maybe text align center. See if that picks up. No, that doesn't pick up. Tab title, text align. Align self. No. Let's see. I want you. Whoops. So I installed this new Vim plugin, and it seems to crash at runtime, and I haven't had the time to investigate that. Don't want to do that right now, so I'll just code around it. But right, so the spacing, right? So all I want to do is justify content. Space between. Okay, so the thing is that they're not each growing. So, and I don't know if it makes sense to make a text tag sort of grow, but we could try that. Okay, that works. And I guess if it's active, we want to do something. If it's active, it will change slightly. Okay. So I tend to do this when I'm translating a design into code. Just put them as close as you can. And just eyeball the size, right? It's always a little hard because there are different devices, so you need to use your judgment. It doesn't make sense to make a pixel perfect for one device. It's just gonna adjust to the next device, so don't worry too much. But I think it is fair to say there's probably like a text width, or not a text width, the text spacing. At least that is definitely something in the browser. Letter spacing. I'm not sure if that would exist in React Native. We'll give it a shot. If it doesn't exist, I'll just do my best with the font color. And the font weight. Something like that. Tab title, maybe it's color. Okay, that makes it a little bit darker. Okay. I think the font weight is good. I would love to have some better spacing, but I don't think that really works. And there's like... So there's this padding here, which I think we have. And I think there's just more padding here, and that's fine. As long as I have like a border bottom on these, I think we're good. It's not really a border, it's more of a like a shadow. I wonder if we have border shadow. Box shadow. Ten, 5, red. No box shadow. No. So you can't do box shadow. Maybe we could do... maybe just a border bottom. Doesn't seem to work. Border bottom. Doesn't exist for the text component. You can either add a view wrapper and supply a border bottom to it, or text input and make editable files. I guess we're adding a view. So tab title, tab, just tab, I guess it'd be just a tab. And we're gonna wrap these babies in a view. That's a tab. The naming is fine because it should be pretty obvious what we're referencing if the container is small enough, or rather if the file is small enough. And so we want to remove the flexing from the text, put it on the container. Alright. I guess we want maybe 2 pixels. Right. Border bottom. And basically, if it's active, just make it tab active. Just make that red or brand color. Tab active, right? And so okay, so we'll always use the tab and conditionally add the active. So if active, so we need to treat this as state, right? We need to track it in state. So we need the active tab. If active tab equals activity, if it's that, we're gonna expand this because it's gonna get bigger. So active tab, if it's equal to that, let's spread on the, I think we use class names for this, but I won't add that right now because I would have to read documentation. We can simplify things after they're sort of implemented. Right. I wonder if this will work. let's just stub that out. Active tab is active activity. Expected a comma. Wonder if you can spread like this. Yes, that actually works. Oh my gosh. If I, oh man. So right, just evaluate this statement within the parens, and you should get an object, and then spread that. I assure you, I'm not too happy about this. It's always surprising. Sometimes, like, I wonder if it'll work, and then it does work. You're like, oh my gosh, why'd you let me do that? Okay, that works. We also want to change the font color, right? Tab active. Tab title. I wonder if it'll cascade. I don't think it does cascade, but... You need something like tab active text. Tab text active. Tab title active is colors are brand. Okay, what's wrong here? Unexpected token, comma, expected semicolon. That doesn't sound right. What? What is this doing here? Oh no, that was just some wonkiness of my editor. we have tab active? Yeah. But we need something like tab title active, where colors.brand, and we do something like let's evaluate. Same deal. If this is the active tab, pass that back, otherwise an empty. Okay. I feel like this should have picked up. If we have hot module reloading, it should have picked up. So we have tab, active tab, tab active styles, and then let's just copy these over. Alright. So okay. And now I think I can drop the background color yellow. And these would switch, essentially, right? So if we were to change that to events now, or event, your events. I think I would also want something a little bit more subtle or a little bit more obvious for, because we don't have the shadow or the gradient. I think there's a React Native component that can do gradients, but I don't want to add that right now. I think we can do something a little bit more, what's the right word? Just using like a background color. So the tab, right? The tab is like this. The active tab might have background color. I don't want to use the brand. It's definitely not that. I think there's a light. I think there's a light color. There's a brand light. I don't think this is gonna work. No. Maybe leave it like that. Maybe that is fine. And maybe it should be 1 pixel. Okay, now let's handle like, okay, now let's handle switching between them. So I'm in the middle of sort of making this component into a container component, but there's a lot of, like what we're doing right now is very heavily sort of presentational, but it's also like container logic, because container logic would keep track of the state. So not sure, like not sure. The immediate solution would be put this in the component state, and the next task would be sort of rename this to profile.js and start and then the task after that would be to factor out more presentational components and more presentation logic out of this. And I think the active tab state would still be here in this component. So maybe let's go with that line. Fetching false. Active tab is activity by default. And now let's sort of pull that out from state. Maybe the hot module reloading can't handle the state change. Yeah, couldn't handle the state change. So activity, your events. So we got to make those views into buttons. Already I can see that each one of these is probably going to be a separate component because they're pretty large. But it's a touchable opacity, right? And then they need an on press. And on press, I want you to update the state. Active tab is activity. And for this one, okay, and for this one, I want you to set the active tab to event. Activity. Let's just see if that works. Nice. That does work. Alright. Maybe I want to factor a button out. It would be nice. It would be profile tab button. And I'll drop it in the components directory. Right? And let me model it after some other small component. Not this one, this is like actually huge. I think the listing is pretty small. And I don't think it needs to import anything. And let's call it profile tab button. Is a presentation that shows a tab on a user's profile. And it would, let's see, it would basically constitute, basically it's this. These things would have to be imported. We lost it because I saved. But let's see, what do you need? You need an on press. You need an active tab. And a type, really. Right. How do you do JSLock again? Yeah, JSLock has been down for some time. Param type, variable name, description. OnPress is a function. Variable name, description. Callback for toggling the active tab. Active tab should be a string. The focus tab and the type is also string. Type the kind of tab this is. It can be either activity. It's either an activity tab or an events tab. I think that would be enough to get it going. And we need the touchable opacity. Probably need the style sheet. Don't need that, don't need that. Don't need view. Profile tab button, right? And then we can import this, right? So import profile tab button from, where are we? Profile tab button like that. We wanna render right here. And pass in the arguments that you need. The on press would be something like this. The style would be something like this. The type would be a string. So type Activity. Now we can dupe this. And here we can say events. Well, this would be active tab. So try and encapsulate that. And here we have some work to do. Basically, on press is just naively whatever callback we receive. Style needs to be computed based off of the active tab and the type. The text style also has to be computed off of the active tab and type. And the string would be based off of the type. Let's go ahead and factor out the related styles. Tab, active tab, active activity, colors is not defined. Okay, now I just need to fix the logic. So presumably we're receiving here an active tab and a type. Now if active tab equals activity, do this equals type. Yep. Done. Nice. And we've nicely encapsulated the logic. So that is a presentational component, folks. Let's see. Because this component is getting much too large. I need to make this profile component into a container component and factor out a lot more of these types of presentational components that we see here. But this container component can keep track of the active tab state. There's no problem with that. And okay, so we've done that. Now we should, based off the state, we should either render here an events listing or an activities listing. So we could stub out the activities listing. Activities listing, right? You duplicate. So let's make it profile activities listing. Activities list. And maybe to start off, just a skeleton like this, profile, activity list. Probably receive an array the activities, the user's activities. So I'm not sure how much of this, we don't need any, well, don't know what we have, so don't know what we're gonna have. We can return we can do a fragment. I think you can just do like that. And we can just hard code it because I don't even have an array of activities yet, so. Right. Profile activities list. Maybe rename that to profile activity list. Activity list. Profile tab button. Profile tab button. I think kind of done with this. What I need is if active tab is activity, let's render out the profile activity list with a list of activities which we don't have. Which is an array, just an empty array for now. Just want to see that that works. Otherwise, go ahead and return this. I don't think it'll, nope. right? If activity list is not defined. Okay, activity. Otherwise, events. And maybe we'll show something useful if there are no activities. So if there are activities, do what we're doing. But if there aren't, I want you to render a view. With a message. Activities. Maybe a welcome message. You joined. What? That's what happened. And maybe it's a welcome message. Maybe it's a height 100 and right. View. You join that. Maybe let's center that. Give it some top padding. So we'll get some padding, it'll sort of be centered, and like we'll give it some height. And right, that's like inner padding. Maybe let's put the fire emoji in there. cool. Okay. Nice. Yeah. What does it look like? It doesn't like something. You join lit. I think that's fine. And then, so that's activity, and then your events. It's fine, and then you can click through the event. It's good to me. Sort of hops. That looks fine to me. So. Activities. Oh, maybe. Well, are these activities always going to be empty? Where are the activities actually being powered from? I guess the activities are the alerts. I'm actually not too sure what I'll put in there. I guess they would be like things that that person has done recently. And the events are events that they have hosted. Versus alerts, which are sort of like notifications. So notifications are things that you should be aware of. So like the like screen on other apps, or the notification screen on other apps, or things like someone has messaged you or someone wants to go to your event goes under alerts. Activities would be like, oh, like their wall, something like their wall. So that being said, I'm not sure. I think it's gonna be empty actually for V1. Activities. Maybe it's not you join lit, maybe it's your name join lit. Activities. Right? What should go in there? What should go in there? Maybe I can think about what to put in there later. Figure out what to put in profile activity tab. Remove if we don't remove just the tabs, I guess. Remove tab if we don't need them. To think about that. Does look nice though. Not sure it makes sense to. I've been thinking about making these like smaller, since they're like your events. this is how the events show up on the events tab. But here, okay, so basically go back to the ticket, right? So move profile events into a tab. Did that. The other tab is activity. Verify if profile looks good when reviewing for invites. So for that, we sort of need to figure out, we need to open profiles from alerts. So maybe we can focus on that next. So we're on master. Profile tabs. I'm gonna go ahead and commit, make like a checkpoint. Because I'm pretty happy, like the app is sort of working now. Is in a good state. I'm pretty wouldn't want to lose the work that I've done so far. So we add profile tabs, factor out, tab button components, profile tab button component. Okay. So that is checkpointed. I want to now what do I want to do? I want to be able to click through this stuff, right? I want to be able to click on these and go to the relevant user that this notification is trying to let me know about. So let's see. Let me get a glass of water. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. So right, so these are notifications, right? So maybe it would be interesting to go over how those things look. Basically, I use this thing called Django notifications, and it is a project that's derived from Django activity stream. And if you know anything about activity streams, they typically sort of define activities like, so notification is a type of activity, and activities have four main components. They have an actor, the object that performed the activity, a verb, the verb phrase that identifies the action of the activity, an action object, which is optional, the object linked to the action itself, and a target, which is also optional, the object to which the activity was performed. And you can read more about that if you'd like. It's pretty popular with social networking sites. And so here, basically, I'm showing one type of activity. I have two types of activities in this app so far, but right now I just want to show this type of activity, which is basically you make an event and you make a private event, and it shows up on the local feed, the event you made, and people see it, but they don't see the address. They don't see the actual location or anything like that. They just know that it's near them. And they can see the event, everything except for the location. And if they want to go, they can request an invite. They can request to go to the event. At which point, you would receive a notification like this. One per request. And you get an opportunity to sort of say, yes, this person, I'll let them go to my event. Or no, they can't come to my event. And so in that sort of sense, it's an opportunity for you to choose. And it gives you a chance to sort of exercise choice. So only people that sort of that you like, for lack of a better term, will show up. And so what we need to build, the immediate need right now is these notifications probably have an actor. Oh wait, no, these are your requests to go to someplace was approved. But we have events. So what I was describing was like a very popular scenario, but these notifications are actually the other scenario. The other scenario being, I see a whole bunch of events, I want to go to them, but they require an invite. And so I sent a whole bunch of requests, and some of them actually got approved. And so maybe I sent the request and I forgot about it. So it would be nice to be able to go through my alerts and say, and review the ones that were approved, because otherwise it's kind of hard to surface this information. So in this case, I want to, as a guest, as an event attendee, I would want to see the event I am approved for. So when I click on this, I should see the event, which would be Was approved or action. I think maybe target. Maybe the target is the event. So let's verify that. And so I already went over sort of like the data model here, broadly speaking, with what how activities are defined in the activity stream spec, and notification is a type of activity. The other way to sort of maybe wrap your head around notifications is looking at the data model, so this is like the notification entity created by the package. It leverages the Django content types framework to be able to sort of have a notification that corresponds to arbitrary types of objects. Whereas this other end user, I guess the user object, which is related, like the actors or whatever would be users. Not sure if this, yeah, for what it's worth, it leverages the content types for the Django content types framework, which ends up being like kind of like a black box. It sort of is an escape hatch out of the relational model almost. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I'm going to explain it, describe it as. So for what it's worth, for what it's worth, here's the database tables for notifications, aka alerts. Let's see, so maybe let's start by surfacing the API response. Let's surface the API response. And so I'm no longer doing designing, or sort of like look and feel sort of work. Now I'm going to switch over to logic, or for lack of a better term, like logic sort of work. And so I'm going to switch from hot reloading to live reloading. Because basically I'm going to now be testing screen transitions. So let's see. The alerts component also needs to be promoted to a container component and have its presentation logic factored out. Something that is still a work in progress. The alerts is fairly small. It's like one of the latest components that I built. And so it does follow this function style here. I'm sort of like flip-flopping between function notation and like const for my helper components, my presentation components. Don't think there's a right and wrong. Except for people that use lowercase, begin their component names with a lowercase, those guys can go to hell. There's no right or wrong except lowercase, starting your component names with a lowercase. Those guys could eat an egg. Right, so let's log this out, right? Alerts, notifications. And we're gonna be looking out for that in this column. And so I'm looking for an event. If I wrote the API correctly, hopefully I would, as a front-end developer, I would expect there to be sort of like an event somewhere. And indeed, the target seems to be the event. Actor, target, blah. Just ignore the first one, but it seems like most of the targets are event types, or events, event entities. So I want to navigate through. I learned recently that navigator.push should be preferred when you're transitioning between screens. And you may want to, you prefer navigator push if you think that you're going to be using more than one instance of that component. And so just like on other apps, you could open a profile on the events tab. You could open a profile on the alerts tab, right? If you open to an event and then you navigate it to the event attendees and then open an attendee's profile, you could open a profile on this tab. And obviously you can open a profile on the profile tab, your own. And because of that, it's probably a good idea to prefer navigator.push. So I'm gonna do navigator.push here. Navigation.push. Anyway, navigation.push doesn't like that. Wow. Damn. Maybe I need to rely on escape more. This is like such a shame it acts this way. It's so weird. I think it actually evaluates JavaScript as you go. And incredible. Maybe if I define that as a function outside. I literally can't write this function. Like, my editor is not allowing me to. Maybe I should turn off the plugin. So I know how to turn off the plugin. Here's a brief tour through Vimplug. The way you do it is... I actually don't know what these do. Let's give it one last shot. So maybe if I disable some of these helper things, maybe it'll let me do it. Nope. Okay, gotta go. Gotta disable you until I figure out the thing. Plug clean. Yep. Okay. So weird. Okay. Yeah, it's odd. Anyway. Right, profile. We want to open, no, we want to open an event. And we need to pass in the event ID as a notification, not target. Dot ID. I think that's how you do it. Push event. No? So I'm just trying to figure out how I navigate to events in other parts of the app. I'm suspecting now that I haven't been using push, because this is something that I learned this week after studying more React navigation. Maybe I was using... The other way is navigate. So navigate event. So you do navigate blah. Do I never, is it detail? Like, do I never navigate to an event? We have an event list item that would navigation.push event and then do this stuff. Anyway, this is what I wanted. So navigation.push. We open that up. Okay. And then the event ID is notif.target.id. I guess we could do event is notif.event, and it's the responsibility of the component to figure out the data fetching. I'm not going to worry too much about that, but the isHost is computed before you navigate for some reason. I am tired of casting the user ID to a string. But the event host might be a string. And it's the target. The target should be an event. So this thing has an event. No host on undefined. Like that. Maybe like that. Maybe it's that. No. We are going to the event, and then the event blows up for some reason. The event blows up. You do .host apparently. Can't read proper ID of undefined. So this component is assuming that the event is already loaded. And that's what's happening. And that doesn't seem like a good assumption. see if there are targets on all of these, first of all. So let's get a better sense of what is available here. So it's there. So all the first three have events as a target. And so I think we are passing it in. We should be passing in the event component did mount map state to props. So here we're reading it from Redux, but this is no good. This is like really assuming that we've already done the data fetching. We can't make that assumption, right? If the component is responsible for its data fetching, we can't go around reading event.id. We need to wrap this whole thing. There's no get event either. We need to guard this whole thing. If event, do this stuff. Else. If there is no event, we need to read the event. Read event by navigation params. And then event will be defined. So right now I'm reading out the event ID from the navigation params, which is, so navigation is always available via the props. If you're using React Navigation, it should be there. Once you have navigation, I should forget it's like get param. Right? Event ID, test tag. So event ID is that, read event ID, and we should be good. Don't we have event rate? Yeah, event read. Oh wait. It's component did mount. Okay. So let's declare something called like fetch data. Fetch data. Event data. Which is async. And just chuck all this in there. Component amount. Event data. Can't read property ID of undefined. Not too sure what's the issue. So this is alert, and it opens up an event, and if there is no event, we fetch the event. And maybe let's log out. Event fetch data event ID is event.id. It's 126. So this one should be fine. This one should be fine. Can read property ID of undefined. Okay, it's somewhere in get photo. Get photo fetches the event's main photo for display. Move into component did mount so we can set fetching equals false after all API requests. This is something that we can do now because I have made this async. And use event and user ID. I see. So we push that. Well, I kind of like it to be a helper function. The issue is that it's not using the event that we are generating here. So as long as we do that, we should be fine. Okay. And maybe the rest of it is fine? Okay. So it doesn't yell at me. But why is it not showing any event data? Fetching true. Get photo. Fetching false. And that's like an entirely different like major topic, which is moving fetching, so API request state into Redux. Apparently it's a bad idea to have them in the components. But we'll get there. So maybe it's not updating the event data. Event undefined. Oh, we need to probably dispatch a store event. Yeah, dispatch store event. Do we ever run this? No, we never do. Maybe C, D, E. Right. So we want to dispatch event. Where it's our units key and event. We can do that. So event ID and the event, and maybe now it will refresh. Beautiful. So Sun Life case against. I would really love to have the event title in the header. So we'll look into that. Profile screen header title is this user's name. Event header shows event title. Could probably do that pretty easily. Okay. Event header shows event title. Oh, I went to the event. We can solve that by... We can solve that by adding events to the alert stack. Like this. New event. Sun Life Case Agent. So this is, at least we can navigate between tabs that have the event component mounted. So the quick way to fix that is to just add it to the stack navigator. Rather the alert stack. So you have this alert stack, it has profiles, should have events as well. So like, should profile edit and event edit also be in this stack? I don't think so. To think about that. If you do that, we'll be able to have the event open on this tab and an event open on this tab, right? And an event open on this tab. Sun Life Case Agent. Right. So very good. We have events opening from alerts. So read event. By navigation params ID. Read event from API. By ID. Okay. What else? What else? What else? What else? What am I gonna do? So I think that requirement's complete. Right. If the target is undefined, I would rather just not navigate. Can't do that. Nice. Very cool, very cool. Very cool. Where is the URL? Who did this? It's in state. Interesting, Lauren Flicker. I'm sorry, I'm just very curious about this person. He's a very cool person. Where was I? Really appreciate that API. The remote debugger, right? So we can open the alert. Can open the alert and what else? Event. Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, what else is left to that feature? Event header shows event title. Right, so we can... I think we can do that pretty easily. Navigation options, event. Navigation. Title. Set title on the stack header. Setting the header title. Using params in the title. Replacing the title with custom component. Using params in the title. Setting the header title. So it looks like you can do setting a param. Title should be event. Event. And the title will be title. And that should work as is. Event. But then I would like to after the event is sort of read, I would like to update. Well, if the event title's length is less than 20, I want to just use the event dot title. Otherwise, I want you to slice that. I want you to truncate, right? Just grab the first part and do some ellipsis. And right. Sun life case against. I should replace this lorem pixel thing with just the placeholder component. I like that. It's actually using the event's title. What else do we do? Alright, so I wonder if the placeholder images are a component. Those would be a good candidate for a reusable component. Event list item. This image placeholder, yeah, we have that. Image placeholder. Do something like import image placeholder from. So this is the event. There's this event list item, and if we export it, which I'm about to do, we could do something like that. Export const as well. Image placeholder. Basically, I want to, if there's no image URL, right, this is not it. This is it. I'll do something here where we're like replacing this image here. And the way this is used is something like this, where we do a ternary. Where we basically do image URL. Image source. Image URL. Do something like that. Alright, so it's a little bit more consistent. I wonder if I have a design for the event. Well, I'll tell you what, most of the times the event will have an image. We're going to semi-require that from the UI during the event creation. So let's see. All right, I mean, that's pretty cool. So we can open an alert. The events are showing the event title truncated. Like that. I kind of want to go around and replace every instance of image with the React Native Elements image. much nicer. I should verify, I should make the other type of notification. And should remove that flash. Remove the... I should create the other type of notification. But let's do another checkpoint because I'm pretty happy with the progress so far. So... Right. We sort of started with... Let's see... Okay. Move profile events into a tab, which we did, and the other tab is activity, and verify the profile looks good when reviewing for invites. Still working towards that, but as a prerequisite to that, we are making sure that we can see making sure we can reach things from notifications. There we go. This is what I'm doing actually. So this is done. User can tap on alert to see data. On invite request, user can see requester's profile. On invite accepted, user can see the event they got accepted to. So we did that. Yeah. So the next thing we gotta do is create the other type of alert and make sure that that flow works, and then this will be done. And then we can test the more easily test the sort of invitation flow, and that'll wrap that up. And if there's any time left over, I might do this, or I might pick up another one, another small one. Okay. But yeah, okay, pretty happy with the progress so far. Touchable opacity, alerts, right. So right now what I'm doing is adding interactively, which allows me to create the commits in a better way. So it allows me to review piece by piece what's about to be what I'm about to commit. It gives me like a really nice way to review the code changes. Well, I'm debating why I hesitate here is I'm debating whether or not to push this logic into image placeholder. No, that would not be a good idea because image placeholder implies it's the placeholder. It would probably be better to make it into like my own image tag, which can detect if the URL is undefined and show the placeholder instead, but I won't go that far. It's just a shame it's so long. And like it begs the question, should you promote that to its own file? Yeah, I kind of want to promote it to its own file. Yes, I do. And so I guess it needs, you usually need React. You usually need these. We'll probably need that. No, we won't. You'll need view. You'll need oct icons. You'll need image. Right. Okay, right, export default function. Menu item icon. Pretty sure we don't use that anywhere else. Image placeholder. Event list item and event. Because it's a new file, the packager needs to be restarted. And restarting the packager sometimes is a hassle. Enable resolve image placeholder. Oh, right, it's right. It's in the directory above. How do you delete or kill an app on iOS? So iPhone, XR, emulator, kill app. Maybe kill the process. Maybe I can restart it. Colors. Okay. So, right, image placeholder. Where was this even being used? I completely forgot. I think it's this orange stuff. Okay. So that seems to work. Get add source components, image placeholder, grep, image, placeholder. So it's importing it, right? Now it's importing it from the file. So we promoted it to its own file. That's good. Let's see what else we have. Yeah. Okay. Moving that out. Don't need that. And so we had add profile tabs. I'm going to amend because I ended up squashing this stuff anyway, right? So, and yeah, we added profile tabs, but did a couple of other things. Factor out profile tab component. Factor out image placeholder component. What else? Truncate event title and header. We use React Native Elements image component to fade in images when they load. What else do we do? All right. We open events from request approved alerts. And that's what we have so far. And I'm not a fan of, I'm a fan of commits that are like focused, but I'm also a fan of PRs that are just one commit. So there's a balance there. And because it's easiest for me right now, I'm just going to make it one commit. So that's checkpointed away, that's good. It's almost 3 a.m. Maybe I can create the other type of alert and verify that that flow is working as well. And then maybe I'll just call that a night. Thanks again for joining me on Friday night. This is Domain Expert showing you how to make an app in real time. As always, if you have questions, please just chime in, just ask, and I'll answer. Let's see. Show profile. So let's make the other type of notification. The other type of notification is when you make an event and someone wants to go to your event and it's a private event. So new event. I think the easiest way to verify, to test that out, is to spin up the Android. And so here I have a Nexus 5X API 26. For those who don't know, this API level is being phased out by Google by force. If you are setting up an Android emulator for React Native development today, in 2019, you should be targeting at least API level 28. So we have both of our emulators here, and let's see, I don't know, so I don't know if it's running the latest version of the app. Okay. Let's restart it. So for those who are curious, how am I telling the packager to run on Android and iOS? You can actually do it from this command, from the command line. If you read what it spits out at the beginning, it tells you that if you press A, it'll try to run the app on Android emulator, and if you press I, it'll try to run the app on the iOS emulator, if any. And I've started preferring just doing this from that, or pressing A and I from the command line, rather than going to the packager in the browser. And you also see any console logs in here, so I feel like there's little reason to get out of here. Oh, one thing that is annoying is that the Android emulator doesn't really bind to localhost. So for Android, I do end up using ngrok. Oh, that's HTTP pi. We want to do ngrok. We want to flip those. I'm like, what? There we go. And so now they should both be communicating through the ngrok tunnel. See here. And And let's just really quick that works. Alerts work. Okay, so importantly, I've signed in as 2 different users, one on each emulator. Okay. And let's see. You join lit. This is your profile. We want to maybe use the placeholder here.
Please don't make me go into LA. I don't care where you go, Jack, but I can't have you around here. You make me too sad.
So that's something that we can change fairly easily. We can use the image placeholder instead of this avatar, which I'm not a fan of. So we do right, first photo, profile photo, first photo. So we factored out this profile photo thing. Which, if there's a first photo, we do that. Otherwise, we return this thing. Let's do... Otherwise, we return image placeholder. And so... we're gonna do something like that. Profile, image placeholder. And I can't remember if there are any props on that. No, it's just that. We could make this a little tighter here. Image placeholders like that. Yeah, because I don't really like that avatar profile photo. But it looks like it's not. I'm not actually sure where that is coming from then, if that doesn't update it. It's null first photo. No first photo. So I wasn't even loading that that component at all. Okay. Okay, so at least it flashes something that's more like the brand. Okay, let's make this into a single return clause, because just feel like it. Okay. Should not be profile photo, I think it should be main photo. Yeah, because avatar doesn't really sound right either. There's only one main photo, and that's kind of what I want to communicate there. As a main photo. Okay. Most users will have a main photo, so this is just an edge case actually, so. But this is just an edge case. Most users should have a photo. Education 2 is not used here. Education 1 not used either. Okay. What else can I clean up here? So, one thing that I kind of want to do is go ahead and promote this to the containers directory, and I mean that's one step. The other steps the other steps involve gutting this component from any presentation logic. But I feel like the first step is to promote it to a container. So user can tap on alert to see data. Okay, so we did the flash. Fix flash on profile. Well, no, yeah, there's still a flash, right? There's that flash. So it wasn't really the placeholder. No, it's none of those really. But it is something nice to have. So if there's no picture, you get a flame. What else? Okay, so let's go ahead and create the other type of notification. Even before the promoting the profile component, because that can wait. Use image place folder for profile main photo. So did that. Let's go ahead and okay, so let's try to request an invite to one of these events. So free from location, Food Bar, New York City. So it's an invite only. And it's still work in progress. I'll need to fix the reply form. Fubar, New York City. Request to attend. Now here, Harry requests to go to free from location. When I click on it, I would expect to see Harry's profile. So that's not right. I probably need a notifications reducer too. So, now that I think about it. So there's an invite approved and an incoming request. And so so this on press is sort of working. So I need to switch on the verb. So I could make a helper function called event press, rather alert press, and that could switch on the notifications verb. And if it is an invite approved type of notification, we show the actor, and if it's an incoming request type of notification, we show... No, if it's an invite approved notification, we show the event. If it's an incoming request type of notification, we show the profile, the actor. The profile for the actor. So this callback here is becoming a little bit heavy. I'm going to promote that to a event press, like a helper function. Maybe it takes a notification and does some stuff. So we pass in the notification, right? Event press. Let's write a signature or a contract. And we're saying that event press. No, it's not event press, it's a alert press. Alert press. Navigates to the appropriate data when an alert is pressed. If the notification is for an event, is for a request, for an invite request, show the attendee, show the user. If the notification is for an invite request, someone wants to come to invite, is for a request approval, show the event. Maybe it takes at param. Notification is an object. It's called notif. The notification. Data. Okay. That is the contract. That is what this thing needs to do. And so that can return that. So if, well, it's not even really returning. So we can expand this out. It doesn't have to be so concise now. If there's a target, do block. That was the previous logic. So rewritten. We need to we need to switch on verb. I guess we can do that in here. if the invite was approved, we want to show the event. Else, right? Else show requesting user. So we show an event. Else we want to show a user. So this stuff needs to be like user. No. I'm trying to find another example. It's probably using navigate, right? Navigator.navigate. No, it's not picking it up. So we need navigation. That's I'm pulling that out of prompts there. Show the requesting user. Show profile. Profile tab button, actions index, profile activity list, main tab, navigator, profile edit, events, surely events. Events, open profiles. So we pass in the user ID, which is the event's host, but instead of event, it's notification.target. .host. It's probably not my profile. Let's just see if that works. So here we have someone's requesting to go to my event, and I can show them. Let's print out the notification. notification is that? It's gonna be the actor. And that looks pretty close, right? I'm sure if there are more fields, show that. Oh, right, but crucially, we should be showing the approval buttons. What I'm looking for is we had programmed this part where on the profiles you can see an X or a check mark. Here we go. So notification, if there's a notification, render some invite buttons. So maybe we pass in the notification. Like that. Font awesome is not defined. Profile. You might want to promote this to profile. Invite button. But I'm not up for it. I'm kind of tired. Just make it work. Okay. So it's yes or no. Say I say no. Can't set property accepted if undefined. And here I think we start going down a rabbit hole because this is actually a flow I have not been testing very much. Accepted of undefined, unhandled promise rejection. That is an API error, I think. Where is this? Accepted of undefined. Invite dot accepted. Or invite is notif dot invite. But that might be undefined. Profile button press notif the invite. So maybe it didn't actually do anything with it. There's no invite here. So maybe I need to make a ticket and punt on this, and I know the suspense is killing you because this would be like an API change, but it's just a little too late for me. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make that a ticket for the backend team, which is me, and I'll do this tomorrow probably. But basically, I think this function, where is it? This function down here was written with the assumption that the notification will have an invite, and maybe that assumption changed, or the actual implementation ended up not having the invite as a field like that. So either I need to change the shape of this notification to have the invite data, or to come up with some other way to accomplish this. So I have to think about that a little bit more. So I'm just gonna make a ticket for myself. Which is basically, so they can see the data, but the flow is not completely working. I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's done. I'm gonna go ahead and say, and this is done. I'm gonna say that this is like that. What is it? User can approve, deny invite request. And this may need to change API notification to return invite entity. Not sure. Otherwise, need way to update invite dot accepted. We could probably do this as a post. As true, false. It's literally an update. Something like that. But yeah, pretty happy with this. Let's go ahead and made a lot of improvements. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. To do finish invite approval flow. Let's see. Invite request alert. Opens request stores requesters requesters profile on top. Very cool. Let's go ahead and open that as a PR. Add comment avatars. Okay, so that's a pending PR. Hopefully the other team member can get to that and review that. This I'll open up as a PR. So what can I show? So we have the profile tab here. It's one thing you can show. Well, what else? Factor out image, truncate, yeah, events. Images are loaded in. Open events from request approved alerts. Yeah, I guess that works too. Use image placeholder for profiles, main photo. I think those are probably more important to communicate. So. Okay. It's a solid solid PR, I would say. Lots of, not as focused as I'd like, but very good nonetheless. It's not like it's 800 lines or anything like that. It is a little bit scatterbrained. It does cover quite a few things, but we are moving quickly. So yeah, I'm gonna call it there. Thanks for listening, everybody. Tune in next week where we write an app for fishermen. Bye.